Just a few minutes after 2 o'clock, and it is the regular meeting of the Board of Health on this November 15th, 2007. I asked before, but again, are there any members, is anybody here from the public or press on an issue that is not in our agenda? Hearing none, I am told that I can go right on to the series of discussions that are advertised. And the first is a variance request from Mr. Hopkins, Dr. Hopkins, Mr. Hopkins from 67 Mill Pond Road. We have received a letter from you, a lecture from you in writing actually, about whether water is steam or whether it's ice.
We academics, get on.
Oh, yeah. I've been there once in a while. Bob, I don't know if you might introduce this one, because it's a little different, I think.
Sure. Mr. and Mrs. Hopkins are here. They're developing the property at 67 Mill Pond Road. As part of their development, they're putting in liquid propane gas. They've approached the health department about putting in a underground 500-gallon propane storage tank. Board of Health regulations for underground storage tanks would cover any tank that contains products limiting but not including but not limited to gasoline, fuel, diesel oil, and any other toxic or corrosive chemicals. The liquid propane would fall under that definition. Our regulations were written primarily for the protection of groundwater. Mr. Hopkins is here today to discuss with the Board of Health the physical qualities of propane gas and why that would not be a threat to groundwater, and asking the Board of Health if they would consider granting a variance to allow the installation of a 500-gallon liquid propane tank. I did speak to the fire department. I spoke to Deputy Quinn regarding this. He has no specific concerns. He would like if the Board of Health were to grant this variance. There is a filing fee with the fire department for an underground tank. They would have that, so they would have on their database where the tank is located, so if they're on the property for any reason, they'll have all the information about any explosive or flammable materials.
Should I ask Mr. Hopkins to present
I
first?
wanted to get a clarification
Okay.
on his introduction, please. So clarification, the specific requirements for double-walled tank and cement and all the kind of things that have been referenced in here. Deputy Quinn has basically, quote, signed off that he has no specific concerns if those particular elements were varied.
That's correct.
As long as he has a plot plan and a filing fee and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Okay, just wanted to get
I want to
clarity.
clarify, he said the fire department always has a concern with any flammable product, but nothing specific to this site, you know, or to this request, other than the fact that it is a flammable product.
I just wanted to get the actual specifics that he was willing to consider variance possibilities for.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'm surprised, frankly, this is the first time we've heard of this issue, because I know of other underground propane tanks.
I do too.
Mr. Hopkins, do you want to comment on it? We've got your very well-written letter, which has evoked quite a bit of discussion among us in an informal way before the meeting.
I'd be happy to comment on any specifics, any questions anyone had. The fundamental point that we were trying to seek a variance on was not the regulation itself, but merely the interpretation of the regulation, in that it's being interpreted that that propane under high pressure falls into the category of liquid hydrocarbon products, whereas in fact there is a very specific implication with those words liquid hydrocarbon that I don't think is it suggests that it is not a liquid hydrocarbon, so it doesn't fall in that category. And therefore, our request would be that that liquid propane, in fact, is a liquid under the conditions that it's at, but it's not a normal liquid. It is normally a gas, and when you look in any kind of a something like the Handbook of Chemistry and Physics, you look at propane, it's listed as a gas. And what, of course, the implication is that's not spelled out in the regulation is that when you talk about these, in quotes, liquid hydrocarbons, you're talking about in their normal state. And the normal state is very well defined. We live in what atmosphere and atmospheric pressure. We live at roughly room temperature around 70 degrees. In that state, anything that is liquid is a normal liquid. Water is normally a liquid. However, propane in that state, atmospheric pressure, room temperature, is a gas, and it's gone. It's, you fill a glass full of it and deal with it that way because it vaporizes, it's boiling, it's well above its boiling point. Now, I'm happy to comment on anything else, but that's kind of the crux of what our concern is.
I mean, I think it's a very useful concept that you've brought to our board, and as our health agent has already pointed out, that the regulation is there to protect the groundwater, and gas is not going to affect the groundwater very much. But let me ask my colleagues on the board if they have any comments. Sims, any thoughts, any additional, any questions?
It seems that the intent of this regulation may have run a little wide of the curve. I'm not predisposed to change the regulation at this point, but I certainly think we should give the variance request due consideration of this.
Should we just exempt propane gas from the regulation?
That's not our place.
We can't, okay?
Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
this is a regulation.
By
If
whom?
we are to, by us
Okay.
and by the state, and if we're to change the regulation, we have to file it in the newspaper for 2 days. We have to hold public hearings. I mean, changing a regulation is difficult, even if it's a bad regulation. I think it is well within our power to write a policy as relevant to the comments today that reflects how we shall deal with this. I think we are fulfilling our responsibility to protect public health by leaving it there, understanding how we're gonna interpret with the policy, and considering a variance very seriously.
Okay. Sims,
Oh, sorry.
I'll get back to Gussie if we can get some more from my port side here.
I'm done.
You're done. I have a question of Bob. I know that my neighbor 2 years ago put in a propane, in-ground propane tank. I know of others that are here in town. Does everybody have to follow these regulations? Is this something, because, I mean, this is the first time that there's been a request for a variance in the time that I've served on this board.
Mr. Hopkins is a fortunate one, explained to him on the phone. This question came to us, apparently there have been other underground propane tanks installed, unbeknownst to the health department. We've not been asked to comment or approve those. So they have not come before the Board of Health.
Okay, so I'm not
So
losing my mind.
You're not losing your mind, no.
I was curious about that too.
But
Okay.
the permits are issued by the gas and plumbing inspector.
Mhm.
And he had said, he covers, I think, 5 towns, and he says that there are several in the 5 towns that he covers. He did not even think that it would fall under this regulation and did not bring them to us.
Okay, all right. So why is it here?
Well, because I think it does fit our regulation, and it was brought to my attention, and this is the action that I felt was the appropriate action.
Okay.
It's,
Let me go through the board now.
Please.
You know, we've had a suggestion that there's a place for making a policy, there's also a place for precedent, but anyway,
What do you mean by that?
precedent. You
I know
rubbing,
what that means, but what are you
and
referring to?
if we exempt this one, we're gonna exempt the rest, you know, by variance.
Oh, I see what you're saying, we don't need a
Okay.
policy because by
That's right.
exempting, okay.
Any question?
My
Comments?
question was Susan, it's answered, thank you.
Gussie? You?
No, I think the argument is cogent, is rational, is reasonable, and I'm ready to make a motion anytime you will accept it.
Mr. Hopkins, you wanted to make another comment before we have a
Just
motion in
thought
your favor?
I would suggest that if you are planning on adding a note or
Finding.
an argument to this particular Board of Health regulation, that I would think what might be helpful to everyone is a footnote or a comment relating directly to liquid hydrocarbons, and then an interpretation saying, by liquid hydrocarbons, this means any hydrocarbon that at atmospheric pressure and room temperature is a liquid. That is what that really has that implication, but it's not spelled out, and therefore it's hard to interpret.
Mind you, as you heard, for us to start changing regulations and put written riders on regulations requires a process that my wise counsel from the left here suggested we shouldn't bother to go through. However, why don't you make a motion at least to get this one off the ground?
Sure. And move in the matter, the findings are that the request from 67 Mill Pond Road owner Hopkins to install an underground propane tank, although raised the concern of a regulation regarding underground tanks, that the findings are that the substance in question in its natural state will not be liquid, will not be in harm to the groundwater, and the propane in its natural state is a gaseous material. I therefore move that we grant the variance to allow the burying of the underground tank, a 500-gallon tank for propane, as long as the fire department has been notified, all necessary papers, forms, and fees are completed.
I second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now, the ice cubes in my martini glass, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Actually, it's very useful discussion. Very useful discussion.
Ice cubes in your martini glass pollute your martini.
Absolutely.
Actually, I don't drink martinis, I never have. Our
Well,
next,
it's never too late to start.
the next item is 40 and 50 Tom's Hollow Road.
Mr. Chairman,
Sir,
when this matter was before the Board of Health on a previous application, on advice of town council, because I sit on another regulatory board in town, it was suggested that I recuse myself from this matter, and I'm going to continue accepting that advice in these circumstances. Therefore, I will recuse myself, leave the room if someone would notify me when we move on to the next agenda item.
we shall certainly do that.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I am also going to recuse myself. Because, do I have to say why?
Yes.
I do?
Probably say in general terms.
Because the attorney in this case is involved in litigation against me and my husband.
Say about personal involvement that you don't want
Yes.
to, could cloud your objectivity. Thank you very much. both
You've
of
got to
you.
either
And
ban
please let me know.
attorneys or,
Please let me know when you're ready for me to come out.
Okay. We are still a quorum, but only just. We've heard this one before. We've heard the song of Tom's Hollow Road.
I like that song, it sounds look.
Sounds like something out of the West, doesn't it? But we should do it again, I'm told. When did we discuss this last, Bob?
Last discussed March 21st, '07.
Spring has come, summer has come, autumn is almost gone, and you're back. What has happened since?
If I may, Mr. Chairman, John McCormick, attorney representing the applicants. After a period before this board, we went before the planning board for a number of waivers, many of which were approved, some of which were denied. And what we've done is reconfigured the plan in response to the concerns of the planning board. I think big picture in terms of what we're dealing with the Board of Health, the changes that are made really aren't of
Is this the old one?
much concern that would in any way change what we discussed back in March. Essentially, because we're showing a cul-de-sac, because the planning board regulations say that they don't want you to come in and just kind of leave it in limbo there, that we're showing a turnaround. That does affect the actual size of the lots to some degree, so that it is a factor, a relevant factor, I should say, for this board.
So this was not here when we saw it last, this circle?
That's right,
Okay.
that's right. But everything else that we've agreed to in terms of the prior decision, that Lot A be limited to 5 bedrooms, Lot B be 6 bedrooms, Lot C be 5 bedrooms, Lot D be 6 bedrooms, and that Lots C and B have nitrogen reducing systems put in place, is certainly still agreeable to the applicant. Brad Malo.
Those are our recommendations?
Yes. you had asked if we would agree to
Yeah, okay.
such
You have a question
restrictions.
directly, or
Yes,
shall we?
yeah, about
Okay.
the cul-de-sac. It has nothing to do with frontage?
No, the lot has frontage, it's,
I'm talking on the cul-de-sac.
right, well, the reason we put in the cul-de-sac
Like, was for frontage.
was, no, it's because there's no
Fire
turnaround
department.
to, it's essentially a dead-end
Mhm.
plan. There's still frontage on the street as it goes all the way to the
Oh,
end.
okay, sorry.
But what the
Okay.
planning board says is you can't just have a dead-end street, you've got to have a turnaround
Okay, all
for
right,
fire, emergency, et cetera.
okay.
But there's
Because
plenty-
this
there's plenty of
plan does
frontage.
not indicate that the road continues on.
Okay, it does all the way to the end, though.
To where? No, no, no.
Well, I'm not certain what the question is. We're providing a cul-de-sac. The road does not continue on beyond the cul-de-sac. The cul-de-sac is being carved out of the applicant's property.
I don't see it.
That-
I
that-
did
The remainder of, there's a
There's that
line
motion.
distinguishing between the circle and the cul-de-sac
Yeah,
and the pre-existing right-of-way.
yeah, but if
because-
you didn't have the cul-de-sac, would you have frontage?
Yes, yes. the-
Where?
It was in the motion of the
but
previous
this-
meeting.
This is the,
We
Oh.
amended it.
this is the
I'm
right.
talking about B,
We'd have
talking about Lot B.
to-
Would you-
Lot B was originally Lot 5.
Yeah, right.
And Lot 5 had some 120, 280, so we're up to 440 feet of frontage.
Okay.
So
It's
we-
not
we
a
had
frontage
divided
issue.
It is not a frontage issue.
Issue, okay. I just wanted clarification on that.
Well, do you have any comments from the health agent standpoint on this proposal, somewhat revised?
Excuse me, I was trying to get something.
I
No.
beg your pardon, I asked him a question. You had referred to the fact that you had agreed upon nitrogen removal systems for C and B, and I was simply asking our health agent, at which meeting was that put into the motion form? And I do not see it here. Do you have it on your records, Attorney
I
McCormick?
have a copy of the memo to the planning board dated March 27th that contains those. I have additional copies too.
No, I think we all have that one.
Okay. Number 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, got it, all righty.
Yeah, that was in your materials.
That's where I have it. No, I thought it might, I was looking for a motion, and I wasn't looking at that. Thank you, I see that
Yeah,
now.
We have, there's the previous motion, which we amended.
Yeah, to
After
do
the conflict of the
to the
veterans.
March, yeah,
Yeah.
got it, thank you.
Bob, do comment on where we stand from your standpoint.
No, I did ask Brad if he could just review the changes on the lots and the
Yeah.
difference in the square footage on the lots, may be appropriate, but looks like they're still within the 10,000 square foot range that the limits were set on,
That's correct.
50,000, 60,000.
That's correct.
Let me start with you, Gussie.
Yes, good afternoon. I'm looking at a document labeled June 13th, Certificate of Disapproval of a Definitive Plan from the Orleans Planning Board. I'm sure you're familiar with it. Would you please indicate on the map how you have adequately addressed 1982-10F standards of adequacy radius curve? How did you address that factor that the planning board cited for their disapproval?
Have we seen that, Gussie, this document
No,
you're
it's
reading?
part of, no, I went and researched it.
Okay.
These-
Is that
these
something
are-
that you should read
these
to
are-
us? Oh, it's a whole long
These are the
document.
minutes from the planning board,
Yeah.
and this is their certificate of disapproval of the definitive plan.
When was that?
This was in June.
So it's disapproved by the planning
When,
board?
when I saw this on my agenda, I went and got copies of the comments at that time, when this definitive plan was disapproved. I thought it might be interesting to us to see what our fellow board members had done. Do you object to me entering any of this into the public record here at the Board of Health? Or would you like a continuance?
I'm not sure what your question is.
My question is,
Your question has to do with a planning board issue, not a board of health issue, I believe. If you're asking.
my question has to do with how we function in this town, and we do not function as an isolated body. I think what we do, and when we're requested by the planning board to make comments for a definitive subdivision plan, it is well within our purview to take a look at previous actions on that request. And I simply went back and looked at the public records and saw previous comments that were made in June. And my question to you is, they specifically cited standards of adequacy for radius turn, standard of adequacy for site distance, dead-end streets, standard of adequacy for surface width, and street frontage for proposed Lot B. Those are the areas they were interested in. I think it's well within our ability to make a decision to find out what else is going on. We do not function in a vacuum here, nor do I intend to make any decisions in a vacuum. So with that question, would you like a continuance, or can you answer these questions for me?
I guess we can attempt
And
to
I'll be
address
glad to
them
show you this if you'd
in
like to
a
see it.
general sense. That's really what the planning board hearing for November 27 is all about.
So you're getting back
Yes.
to them to address these issues, is what you're
Right.
saying. But let us in on the, I mean, it's not a secret, then
Sure.
let me ask my question, if I may, Gussie. What modifications have you made therefore, since whatever it was that the planning board saw back then,
Right.
that will enable you to go back to them this month and let us know what the changes are, and that might address both issues, really.
Well, I can tell you what the design changes have been, which brought us to this meeting, because
Right.
it is a different plan.
Yeah.
And I've met with George Meservy and reviewed what the planning board, first of all, the initial filing with the planning board and their hearings back earlier this year resulted in their disapproval of the definitive subdivision plan in view of the fact that there were, I believe it was 4 waivers that were unsuccessful in having them granted. And of those 4 waivers, we have come back with a revised plan to address each of those items. Item number 1 is we've already addressed to the board today, and that was the fact that this was a dead-end street and it had no turnaround at the end. The planning board indicated that there needed to be a minimum of an 80-foot diameter turnaround area at the end of the road. That's what our cul-de-sac is. It provides an 80-foot diameter turnaround area.
So that addresses F and C on this sheet.
Yes, well, let's,
That- That's all I'm asking.
Well, we can
that's,
address
it addresses C. That
What
addresses
about
C.
F?
Well, F, I'll continue,
Okay,
okay?
great,
There's
thanks.
4 items, ma'am,
Great.
so, you know.
Well, give us all 4, and then we'll.
Okay, I'll give you all
continue,
4.
yes.
Okay, we had originally, because of environmental reasons, requested a waiver to go to a 12-foot wide surface at a portion of the road that doesn't show up on this plan. But it's an area near the Galatsi property where the existing road falls between 2 wetlands, one of which is a vernal pool. But the planning board was looking for a continuation of the 14-foot wide road surface, traveled road surface. So we've accommodated that in this latest revision after discussions with the fire department and as in response to the planning board. The last 2 items had to do with site distance, and I could point out generally on the site where these 2 issues arose. What I'm showing to you here is the original 1975 subdivision, and this was a road layout of which we're proposing no changes to. It was approved by the planning board in 1975. But at the sharp corner here, and these are 40 and 50 Tom's Hollow Lane, the locust property of the definitive. At this sharp corner, the planning board had, we had requested a waiver from the horizontal site distance and horizontal curvature dimensional requirements in the planning board regulations. So we have altered the geometry of the proposed traveled road surface in those areas, engaged the services of a traffic engineer to come up with an appropriate traffic routing plan at that point. And in effect, we feel that a waiver is not required at this time. So we have removed the request for a waiver. Therefore, it's our opinion that we're in compliance with the site distance and horizontal curvature elements of the regulation. So we're not requesting those waivers anymore. Those are the changes from the original plan.
You said there were 4, I caught 3.
Site distance,
Yes.
horizontal curvature, the end of the street, and the surface width of the road.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they have now been addressed, you're going back to the planning board with those.
And,
Correct.
and as we saw and what we originally indicated, just to reiterate, is that the cul-de-sac that we're proposing, the 80-foot diameter circle, actually, of course, alters the area. So we've apportioned that 1,200 square feet or 2,000 square feet throughout lots A, B, C, and D, while still maintaining the proper threshold of in excess of 10,000 square feet per bedroom.
Just move the boundary line somewhat to proportionally to distance.
Yes, correct.
I'm with you, okay. Kelsey, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah,
think it's very-
I simply
very
thank you
full.
very much for your answers. I support the March 27th or 7th letter about the subdivision plans and would certainly ask that, and any further consideration of the plans, the items that were addressed in the certificate of disapproval from the planning board on June 13th or 7th be considered and answered before any movement is made on this subject.
You're suggesting, let me make sure I understand, you're suggesting we should not discuss it further because they disapproved in the past,
No,
even though we've heard that.
no, I'm simply saying that what we commented on as March, I think is very adequate and very appropriate. The only thing I would add to that is that the questions that were raised in this June 13th memo be adequately addressed and answered and dealt with by the planning board.
Because we can't deal with those, but we've heard from Mr.
Right.
Mallow that
Yeah, because that would be my question. You feel that you've addressed C and D, but,
Well, they have to decide whether they addressed it or not. We
well,
can't-
no,
yeah.
that's my question, is the thing is, I would say that, certainly any approval on our part on this change should be conditioned upon approval of the planning board.
Isn't that, that's why
It's
we're here again.
circuitous.
Right.
Because you approved it, you first approved the original plan. We're not standing on that decision because changes have been made. So we have had to come back to the planning board procedurally now, who we're looking for to comment to the planning board, so it will enable the planning board to act accordingly. And if they disagree with our opinions, then unfortunately, it would result in a disapproval
Yeah,
again. But we
understand.
feel we've been able to overcome.
I mean, we have
those issues.
we approved the previous plan with certain conditions, and you are saying that all those conditions will be met, or have been met.
We would-
Some of them in the future, obviously, like, the number of bedrooms and the number of, and the nitrogen reducing system and so on. All that has not yet been met, but will be met when the buildings are done.
Right,
Part of the conditions of the
in
building.
some ways, the concern raised would be moot, because your approval would say, well, okay, here's what you're going to do with the subdivided lots, rather than make it conditional upon what the planning board is going, if the planning board doesn't approve it, there is no such thing as a lot A, B, C, and D.
Recognize that.
It's as it was, so.
But, again, I'm, maybe Mr. Canning can educate me. It seems to me we've approved this once. The changes that are made are all in response to the planning board's concerns. None of the changes that have been made change what we considered, substantially at least. I mean, there's some changes in geography, but they don't affect the thresholds, as Mr. Mailer just pointed out.
But what we said here stands.
Correct.
Period.
And that's that simple.
Right,
Okay.
why it's before us,
Yeah,
it is a new filing to the planning board.
right.
Each time a definitive plan is filed to the planning board, they need comments from the Board of Health. So they do have to receive comments from the Board of Health on this new filing. For the Board of Health, the substantial issue is the reduction in lot size. They've been reduced 400 square feet each lot thereabouts. That is something the board would look at because we had put a limitation on the number of bedrooms per square footage of the property. Outside of that, the town water is not available to these lots, or is available.
They're gonna put it in.
It's part of the
It's
proposal.
part of the
Part of the
proposal.
proposal, they're gonna
So,
put it in.
And that was the original proposal, that hasn't changed with this
Mhm.
proposal,
Right.
so.
Still being
Um,
requested.
As for the board's findings and actions in March, really the only substantial difference is that the lots have been
Lot size.
reduced by a number of square feet. And, maybe the board wants to hear what those numbers are, but Mr. Mayo has told us that it is still over 10,000 square feet per bedroom on each lot.
Maybe that should be the threshold. That is still correct. It's more than 10,000 square feet per, this list of bedrooms we have, 22 and old divided by 5.6, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And there are no abutters present? I will put that on the record. Sue, I don't know if you've had full range of your questions.
Yeah, no, I have.
Elsie, any other things you want to
No,
ask?
and I would point out that the bedroom count that we talked about prior and counts on the new calculations after the lots are reduced are consistent with the nitrogen loading regulation we're considering, which is a good thing.
Therefore, a simple motion would be that the decision we made on March 27th will continue exactly as we approved it, recognizing that there's some change in geography, but not enough to make any substantial difference to our decision. Is that correct? Would you
Correct.
be happy with that?
Although that wasn't the motion where we limited the bedrooms, but I think,
Possibly what the board wants to do is to reiterate what its vote was, which is on the March 27th memo in front of you. And therefore, we have a fresh vote today on these factors.
all right, Mr. Chairman, I move that in the matter of the request from the planning board on the revised plan for 4050 Thomas Howell Road, as they consider the definitive subdivision plan, we reaffirm that our feelings and findings are consistent with our memo of March 27th, 2007.
Second that.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So it's 3-0-0, there are only 3 members present. And it's, once again, past this threshold for you, and I know you're going back to the planning board. Yeah.
I do have a general question for the Board of Health. At the March meeting, we required that deed restrictions be recorded. They've not been done yet. The subdivision hasn't been approved. There was a conflict of the number of bedrooms based on the sizing of the septic system. Was there an expectation of the Board of Health as to when those deed restrictions were to be recorded, subject to the
Creation of the lots.
creation of the lots, or be recorded without regard to the subdivision?
You have to have something to record on, and I think as soon as the lot is created as an entity,
Okay.
then the restriction is
Right.
valid.
Okay, it's not a lot until it goes beyond the planning board, is it? Right at this moment, it's not a lot.
There are 2 lots
As
not
Mr.
for.
I know.
McCarthy say it would be a moot point.
But once it goes beyond the planning board, presumably these deed restrictions and that will go into effect, correct?
Just so I don't answer that too quickly, and you say, wait, I thought you said once the planning board, once we get to the planning board, we still have to go to conservation.
That's
from
correct.
there up.
So when you've gone through the entire
Issues with
approval process.
conservation, right.
Okay.
When we're done with the approval process,
Right.
yes,
Okay.
it's
Maybe the owners
anticipated
will
we've
give
done.
up and realize
Give
the
it,
town doesn't want this.
maybe they would go to the
Sometimes
conservation.
people learn the hard way.
Thank you both. You've heard the votes, and I know you have other hurdles to leap over.
Just,
Well,
I
Bob's
think
still
the only
listening.
reason why I brought it up is
Yeah.
that there is a excess of bedrooms per the septic system size. So if the subdivision goes away, that condition will still remain. I think there's 7 bedrooms in 1 unit. The septic system is sized for 6.
Oh,
Right.
currently, you mean the existent dwellings?
That's correct,
I'd
yeah.
forgotten that, okay.
Yeah.
So that would not be
That-
getting
that-
addressed if the subdivision does not go through. I just want to make sure
Well,
the
does
board's,
does that mean that they then must return to us?
there would be nothing having them return to us if the board feels that the
This
action
is the D property.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. D.
And this is the whole business, we talked about wall
D?
removals and blah,
Yeah,
blah,
right,
blah.
right, right.
Well, whether the subdivision goes forward or not, they are not in compliance, is that correct?
That's correct.
So
and
that doesn't go away.
That's why I bring it up.
Yeah,
Um,
right. Has that been
Uh,
addressed?
It's not been addressed. That's why I'm asking the board,
Okay.
was that a condition subject to the recording or the approval of the subdivision? Or is the board looking for those?
Well, I think that's a separate thing, in my sense is, but it certainly needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
Okay,
The land and the house exist, and the owner of that has got to come in compliance. And
Okay.
that has to be addressed, no matter what happens around him.
okay.
Yeah, right.
Then I'll write correspondence to that effect then.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, but that's kind of tangential perhaps to the main thrust of today's discussion.
Correct.
Another
But it's
layer.
it's obviously related to it. Okay, thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Bob, is there a telephone by which we can contact the other members of our board?
Yes, I got them on my feet.
There's a phone, you can't phone?
I don't know where they are.
Put out a search.
They'll be down before you know it.
They were probably watching us, else how? They're allowed to. There's no reason why they can't watch us.
No, they've
Yeah.
recused themselves, they should really not.
Well, you can't influence our
Didn't
committee.
influence me at all, but they
Hello, how are you?
I'm well, because before I was recused myself, I discovered that my passport wasn't still with my bag, because I went on a trip on Tuesday.
Where was your passport?
Luckily, it's in the car. It was,
Car,
it's
oh
a
my
little
God.
black thing that attaches to the bag.
It took me 5.5 months to get
I
a new
know,
one.
that's why I was
5.5
nervous.
months.
I
Oh, well.
know, I've heard those stories.
Boy, is it cold in here, or is it
It
me?
is chilly
Well,
today.
I look at you with your short sleeves, Phil.
I came in
Well,
with
Phil,
it.
does it
it's
look
'cause
like
Phil's
you're in
so
good moods or
hot-blooded.
not?
It's because
It's the Italian in you, right?
No, I'm before this board.
No, it's the Italian in
Keeps you
you.
warm. I'm Greek, actually.
Are you Greek? Well, that's a warm personality also.
Let us move on. The next
Odysseus.
item on our agenda.
Odysseus Sholomidi.
That's the O's, Odysseus.
Correct, yes.
Ah, yes.
I read your stamps.
Next item is a definitive subdivision plan for 23 Duck Farm Lane.
A little nut.
And Mr. Philip, you pronounce it hard, is it Scalamity or
Chair.
Shalomiti?
It's Sholomiti.
Like Schneider, that's good. Okay, you're on.
Yes, hi, here today with the definitive subdivision plan.
That's the word.
It's prepared for Suzanne Smith Dean. And the property is situated on the west side of Smith Neck Road. It has frontage along the paper roadway, Witta Lane, as you see there. It's zoned residential. It's a registered property, it's a land-courted property. This plan, this definitive, follows a preliminary, an approved preliminary by the planning board. It creates two buildable lots, lots 9 and lots 10. The division also creates or increases the frontage along Witta Lane, and that's shown in the detail, and it's shown as lot 11.
Here, right here, here's the list.
Just under the
Yeah, the
locus
detail.
map.
Oh, that's, now I
That's-
understand it,
See,
okay.
that's,
See, Smith Lane's,
what he's done is he's put
a little picture here.
a microphone.
Don't pay attention
Yes,
to
a little
that.
blow up.
Fine,
because
little blow
it's
up
a
right
small
there.
area, so I blew it up.
Okay, because I
Okay.
couldn't understand why the lane appeared twice. Thank you, I'm
Okay,
sorry, okay.
Not a problem.
Oh,
The total parcel, if you
Yeah.
look at everything, it meets the grandfathering clause, which allows for a second dwelling. So this property already can have a second dwelling on it.
Ah, but time is ticking.
Yeah, it's ticking quickly, yes.
Like pregnancy.
Both lots meet the shape factor. The calculations were submitted to the planning board with the filing. Lot 10 contains 40,850 square feet. It has over 150 feet of frontage on Witta Lane. Lot 10's access is via a proposed gravel driveway, 12 feet wide. It's about 120 feet in length. Before designing the access, I met with Deputy Quinn, the fire deputy, to satisfy his needs regarding fire and safety.
Oh, I see where it comes from. Oh. That's south.
And, did you find it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's, no, but it's south, because
See what you mean?
I know the property, but you come
Yes.
in from
That's correct, yes. Yeah.
that driveway from Beach Road, and this is from Smith's Road.
That, just for lot 10, yeah, and I'll be getting to that in a minute.
All right.
Yeah, anyway, Deputy Quinn suggested that the roadway be cleared a little bit beyond the minimum standard. The minimum standard is 14 feet wide by 14 feet high. He did not feel a need for a cul-de-sac because of the short length of driveway. Again, it's about 120 feet. But he thought that if we increase the radius, the incoming radius to 20 feet, the radius to 20 feet, that would be adequate for them to get in and out of the property safely.
To make the turn.
And also, if we also increase the minimum clearing to 16 feet high by 16 feet wide. So we've incorporated that into our design. He did not find a need for an additional fire hydrant. So that does it for fire and safety. I've met with Louis Briganti of the Water Department. Currently, the existing dwelling has a water service that goes through Lot 10 out to Smith Neck Road. We will be abandoning that and creating new water services for both lots 9 and 10 over Witta Lane to Smith Neck Road. So both lots will be serviced by town water. Regarding the drainage in the driveway, that will be taken care of by a drainage pit, the drainage ditch, proper word, and we have drainage calculations that back up the data needed to back up to show that we've designed this sufficiently to take care of the runoff on the property. Okay, that does it for the issues regarding Lot 10. Now back to Lot 9, as Sue Christie has mentioned, that's serviced, that actually is accessed via a driveway that's shown as the gravel driveway just north of the garage on Lot 9. That goes all the way out to Beach Road, yes. Okay, and we plan on keeping that access. The paper access is off Witta Lane through a panhandle situation, and we meet the planning board's minimum standards for that. It has 30 feet of arc frontage, and it has well in excess of 40,000 square feet of buildable upland, excluding the panhandle. You can see it's 2.7 acres, Lot 9. So plenty of area. It has adequate frontage on the paperway. One of the conditions that the planning board during the preliminary process asked us to review the access for over the existing driveway to Lot 9. I've since been in touch with Deputy Quinn for a second time. He has found the existing access to be sufficient. He has no problem with it. In fact, he had one interest. He suggested that the number be posted, the house number be posted, number 23, regarding the existing house, be posted at Beach Road and also at the intersection of Beach Road and Smith Neck. So we will put that in our statement of conditions regarding that. He felt that regarding the clearing of the existing driveway, he thought it was fine the way it is. He thought that only needed to be cleared 14 feet wide by 14 feet high. So we can also we will be making mention of this in the statement of conditions, and if the planning board so desires it, we can also make it part of the plan note on the definitive plan. What else do we have? I guess the only thing that's left is following the approval of this plan by the planning board, but prior to their endorsement of the plan, we will have a septic inspection on the existing dwelling as required by Title V. That about sums it up. Just one thing I wanted to point out, which is really has nothing to do with this board, but I wanted to make mention of it. I'd just like to point out that Mrs. Dean and her husband were most generous members of the community. The property south of Lot 10 was once 4 buildable lots, as shown on this land court plan.
Conservation.
And in 1973, they donated those 4 lots to conservation. So they've been nice people. I'm here to answer any questions that you may have. And
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, yes.
Before we go forward any further, as a member of the planning board, I have sat in on the presentation of the preliminary subdivision. I do believe I voted in favor. However, town council suggests to me that I should give each applicant an opportunity to express any concerns that they may have about my impartiality. And if you have any, I would be glad to recuse myself from debate and vote.
yeah, I don't.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. May I ask one question before I turn it over to Bob in our usual sequence? I don't understand Lot 11.
You took the
Okay,
words out
yes.
of my mouth.
What is Lot 11?
Lot 11, basically, rather than create a second roadway to create frontage for Lot 10, we've increased the radius on the cul-de-sac so that they have in excess of 150 feet, which is required by the planning board.
Where is Lot 11?
Lot 11 is just before.
It's the little shaving on the side of the circle.
It's a half a demilune, I mean, half a.
Lot 11 is a sliver, a
It's a
fingernail.
sliver- It's a sliver that will become part of the way. And the only reason why
It's got 86 square feet, and who pays taxes on it?
It will become part of the way, so it will be part of, this is private ownership in this way.
Is this a budgetary consideration?
No, I just sometimes can't believe things.
How many
Well,
square feet, how many square feet is it?
86, it says it right here.
It says, yes.
Private way, 86 square feet.
I can tell you the reason behind doing it this way. The property, as I mentioned earlier, is land courted.
Ah.
I checked with the courts before putting together this division, and this was the method that they suggested in doing that.
Easiest, simplest, right.
Yeah.
If it
Okay, let me go back
saves
to
us
our usual
paying
sequence.
lawyers, I'm in favor of it.
We usually ask our good health agent, Mr. Canning, to make a comment after the presenter. Bob?
My concerns were really addressed. Town water will be made available. The septic system will be inspected prior to the approval of the subdivision, the recording of the subdivision. The last item is that it should be clear that no lot lines will be located within 10 feet of the existing septic system. It looks like the existing septic system is
Yes,
between the
that's-
house and the swimming pool, so
Yeah.
I don't think that's an issue here.
I've kind of highlighted it there. It's greater than that, yes.
What is it?
This is the existing
Right.
septic system.
Okay,
That's not on my plan. That
Not
will
on
be
my
on
plan.
the
I don't have
definitive
it, okay.
filing.
This is on the addendum that I supplied to the planning board with the filing.
Okay. It's here somewhere.
Yeah, it actually is scales
Okay, any other comments?
35
Bob?
feet.
I'll come to you. Let me finish with Bob first.
No, those are all the comments I had.
Gus, you're busting to ask a question.
I just simply would like to see a topo map. I want to see how close, I know there's marsh out here. I want to see what the slope is here. I'm worried about siting a septic system, siting a house, and not having breakout from septic systems, little stuff like that. And why in the world are we going to keep this fence here, or do you plan to move it? So, with that said, do you have a topo map?
Okay,
Oh,
I'm sure I can, I hope I have one. That was part of the preliminary filing that we did that, unfortunately, we filed with the planning board, and your board was supposed to review that before the preliminary meeting. I don't know what happened.
I don't either, so do you have a topo map?
Yes.
I
I like your briefcase.
There's one right here, Phil.
You've got one, thanks.
Wow, it is steep.
Which, Phil, if I remember correctly from the preliminary with the planning board, that the
There's marsh down here.
paper access to
This
lot
is,
9
it goes from
is,
70.
it's not impractical because of the slope.
It is impractical, that's correct, yes, yep.
I don't know what you mean by paper access. I have to,
The, where lot 9 is showing its frontage on
yes.
Widoway.
This is a paper road.
That would be the paper access, that's
Just on paper,
the
no.
frontage. It would be the-
Unreal.
the
It's,
theoretical
it's
access
real.
from
It's not
traveled
an
ways.
actual way.
That's correct, yes.
So it's unreal. It's not a real travel way, okay.
paper access from a paper road.
It's not, I mean, I'm not saying that it couldn't be done.
Understood.
But they come in on this, you already said that their real access is on a
Yeah.
dirt road that
Yeah,
goes.
and
They already have a driveway, yes. This house is
Okay.
existing.
Well,
Well, my
let
concern.
me go back to Gussie and then we'll go through everybody
My
else.
concern is this, that it looks, this is very faint here, it looks like it goes from 78 feet down to 30 feet, and it's a very steep gradation, which always raises the concern for me for where you actually site a house and site a septic system, not worry about
Yes.
breakout.
Right.
And I think one of the things I would definitely say that I think this board should put the restriction on here that we would not grant any variances.
It's understood.
This is, this is a steep hill. I don't know where you're gonna
Yes,
put
and,
it.
and any plans will be before the board prior
Yes,
to,
but I want it stipulated that
no variance.
there will be no variances,
Understood.
There's the hill.
and the fence will be moved.
boy, that is faint.
And now
I'm
the
sorry, what
wet,
fence are you speaking of?
well,
Chris?
there's a little dotted line that goes
that-
around the back of the dwelling, is labeled fence line, and it goes over into lot 10. Do you see-
And
Do you have it on yours?
I do, but I don't see why you would like that moved.
I just have a sticky thing about having stuff from one lot on another lot. There's gonna be a different owner, or there's gonna be the
But
same owner.
it's the same owner, but I mean, that should be their
Oh, oh,
prerogative.
okay, it's not a
It-
part of the septic system, we can't.
It's not a structure, it's not a boundary definition.
Okay, well, if they,
It's for the dogs.
But if they sell this, they can squawk, presumably.
It's completely up to, if one changes hands, it's completely
true.
between buyer and
Okay.
seller.
and,
I'll get to you in a moment.
and I've driven down this road, and am I right, assuming you're right over here by Robin's Elbow, it's marsh?
Uh,
Marsh starts about over in
yeah,
here.
I'm upside down here.
Yeah. You go down Smith Neck.
You know, that's a good
Marsh
question.
isn't-
It's way around.
I haven't,
way around?
it's not within,
No, I know, I just,
It's way around.
I don't
It's not-
really know, to tell you the
The
truth.
point is that we're gonna stipulate that there'll be
No
no
variances.
variances, so the marsh will be at least far enough away.
yeah, okay,
Gussie,
yes.
if I can help here.
Please.
Phil had indicated on he held up an assessor's plot plan from
Oh, yeah.
1970 indicating parcels that
Cons-
this owner had donated to conservation.
Yeah,
I believe you need to drive all the way around those parcels to the end of the road before there's wetlands
Okay.
even abutting the road.
I mean, not having
Well,
a topo, I didn't know what was going on.
And the hill that this sits on, it extends somewhat to the south of the view we have on this map, and there's that string of 4 parcels, if you will, that extend along the road this way.
Okay,
And I don't believe you get any wetlands until you get down
Okay.
towards the end of the road, or perhaps just before the end of the road on the other side.
thank you.
Okay, let me go through the board.
Now I'm oriented.
Gussie, you through?
Yes.
Robert?
And my concern with elevations, and that's all been answered.
Now, looking at this very faint map, is it this corner that you foresee the building site?
More than likely, the building site will be something like this, oriented, something like that.
Get the view.
Right where it's, above where it says
The
lot 10
view
miles.
actually is here.
Let me see.
Is it a view?
Upside down here.
Right.
The house will be, I'm sorry, it'll be oriented like this, somewhere in that direction.
Right in front of their house.
40
Well,
feet
it's
below.
in the family, so, I mean.
It isn't.
What?
Yes, Mrs. Dean lives in this house.
I know,
She's
and the
building
daughter,
this for her.
her daughter.
Well, I had understood for herself.
Oh, well, for herself? Oh, is that interesting?
That's not our business.
Okay, that's not our
Not our
business, but,
business.
no, but I was curious.
Any
Okay.
other questions?
Yeah, no, that's it.
Give the kids the big house and take the little house?
I like that.
I've seen that happen a bunch of times.
Sounds good to me.
I got a very clear picture, and I did several site visits when this was a preliminary in front of the planning board. I think you guys have done a nice job with a tough situation.
Thank you.
I have one question. This is the question on the west side here where the gravel drive disappears.
Yes.
Looking at the side map, and I'm unlike my colleagues, I don't know the area geographically, but it seems to me that if you go out of the west side, you end up in Duck Farm Lane, not on Beach Road. Yet-
Yes, the
Yeah.
access is from Duck Farm, goes into Duck Farm, and then out
Okay,
to
but
Beach
see, it
Road.
says beach, but it actually goes to Duck Farm.
Right.
And my navigation isn't all that bad. I passed my Coast Guard
You've got
navigation
the
course,
ship's
okay.
knees in, right here, to
Oh,
get
now I'm
you
with you.
oriented. And
Okay.
then there is what used to be the retail space for Mayo's Duck Farm, which is here.
Okay, that's good. I have no other questions.
So then the easement to Beach Road is in fact an easement across Duck Farm Lane to Beach Road.
No, along Duck Farm Lane, I
I-
presume.
Actually, it's an easement that,
Later
Well-
became named Duck Farm Road.
that's true. There's no mention of Duck Farm in the easement. It predates that.
And it does go, this road, the dirt road runs to Duck Farm. Is Duck Farm a dirt road too?
It's a
This was-
driveway,
this was-
basically.
This was Mayo's Duck Farm, folks.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah.
You had all the, you had all the ducks.
All
in
the
geese.
gaggle of
Post
geese,
office.
yeah.
No
It's-
nitrogen in the ground.
Not
Oh, a
a
lot of nitrogen. Oh, really good
At
farmland.
least they're not geese. There are no one is in the room, so I know there cannot be any abutters present. Are there any other questions, any other concluding comments? Do we get a motion? Where do we go from here?
Robin's gonna make this motion.
Oh, wait a
I'm
minute.
glad she's, Phil, let me give you this back. This is your
No,
three-dimensional
no,
map.
that's, Bob's.
Oh, that's
Wait a
Bob's.
second. Where's my-
Don't you wanna make this motion? You know what we're gonna do.
In the matter of,
In the matter of the Dean property at 23 Duck Farm Lane, proposed subdivision, the findings are that, do we have any findings?
No, this is not like a variance, just say we
No, no, okay.
recommend.
We recommend that.
Approval, right?
if you have
We
the
have
plan
no problem
present.
with approval, we recommend approval, but we do want to stipulate that there won't be any variances granted after the subdivision is approved.
On the new pre-laid lot, yeah.
I will second that. Any
Bob
further
has-
discussion?
Bob has a comment.
Bob,
Want to
comment?
add to that, the septic system must be inspected prior to the
Oh,
recording
yes,
of the plan.
on the original septic system, yeah.
Oh, the
on
old
other
one.
part- on
Yes,
lot
on lot 9.
Wouldn't that happen automatically?
No, not necessarily.
Well, we'll-
Well, there's a transfer, yeah, there's a transfer of ownership, isn't there?
Well, if,
It-
but,
it-
so.
any division
Let's
of
put it
land
in the motion
requires it.
anyway,
Yeah,
but
and
it's something.
that
that should-
also the
Yeah.
septic system on lot 9 will be inspected.
I still second that motion, slightly amended. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye,
Aye.
500.
I hope that was clear.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
okay.
This is better than some of the subdivisions we've sweated over, I'll tell you that much.
Once in a while, we do that. Probably.
It breaks your heart, none of that's been.
Well, the nice thing is that this is staying within the family.
Well, you don't know that. People don't live forever. Families die, marriages get dissolved, you know, all those things happen.
Well, in this one, I feel pretty confident that it's
But
gonna
the
stay
good
within the
thing
family.
also is that they're abutting
I
conservation
move
land,
we
so it can be-
approve the minutes of September 2nd.
I second those.
September 2nd, 2004.
I know.
Can we? Because, thanks, Phil.
Thank you very much.
Yes, there were 3 of us.
I'm looking at the,
Oh, I wasn't
You
there.
weren't there.
Ah.
I hate to say, Gussie,
right,
of
it's
all the
okay.
people who might approve it, you ain't one.
Okay, well then, then
It's
what
just
we,
two
the
of
only thing
us.
we can do then is we suggest we
Move to accept.
move to accept.
Okay.
Because in fact, the sad thing is that the chair of that time, Gail, is no longer on this world. And 2 of us, Susan and I, were at the meeting, it seems, but we are not a quorum, and therefore we can only accept these, we can't approve
That's
them.
great,
Okay.
yep,
So will you make a motion to accept them?
I certainly do.
I will second that. Any discussion?
Nope.
All in favor, say aye. I don't even
Aye.
remember. They are accepted 3 years later.
All right, then I'll move that we approve the minutes of January 4th, 2007.
I second that. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye, not Sims.
Really beautiful.
Oh, I did
Well-
have one question on those minutes.
It's, the 4th,
On the, no, yes,
First page.
January 4th, 2007, yes.
which
On the-
says I was present at the.
Mr. Stady, he believes.
And excused on the signature page.
Will you leave, Ellie?
Oh,
I think so.
all right. My question is in the 4th paragraph under the work session. The board's goal is to reduce the future amount of nitrogen in the atmosphere. Is that? what we don't have that goal, do we?
Where's it? Where?
Not yet.
Where's the atmosphere?
We're getting very, very ambitious.
We probably said aquifer.
Aquifer, you
It
think?
probably, yeah, I think,
Where are we?
Ms. McCusick reiterated that it is the board's goal.
Oh,
to
I find
reduce
it.
the
Okay,
future
got it.
amount of nitrogen in the atmosphere.
Atmosphere of the water.
No.
I think we want to increase the nitrogen in the atmosphere near the septic systems, the NO2.
Yeah, that really should be groundwater, isn't it, or water?
I probably
Aquifer.
said aquifer.
Yeah,
I'm
let's just
sure
say
you said
that would be
aquifer,
fine.
I'm sure you
It
said.
starts with an A.
Yeah, I think you're right. That
Aquifer.
sounds.
Okay, amended
That's
to
all I know.
change,
Change the atmosphere to the
go
aquifer.
to the aquifer, yeah, that's
okay.
close.
No, but you marked something.
Oh, no,
Go Through the
no.
whole motion to reconsider. or something?
With
we're
that
just
change,
amending.
with
Sorry, I
that
should
change,
have
do we
brought that
still
up more
approve
quickly.
these minutes?
No, we're amending,
They're amended now. Instead of the word atmosphere, we're going to put the word aquifer.
okay.
All in favor,
And we
say,
approve?
all in favor, say aye. Just to
Aye.
make sure we all
Aye.
agree.
Okay, good.
That was a typo, and it slipped by me, so I'll concede.
And Mr.
Health agents
Kraft,
report.
Since you were clearly present, Mr. McGrath, I would scratch off this excused business.
Well, he may have left early, we don't know that. We
Yeah,
don't
he
know.
might.
Well, I moved, I
He
seconded.
made the motion.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
Actually, I was there for the next to last one.
Yeah. That's all right, sign it anyhow.
Health agents report is our next item of business.
Bob, speaking of health agents report, we have a request from the chair of the select people for you to give her a copy.
I already did.
Oh,
I
thank
saw
you.
her in the halls.
Okay.
Health agents report, November 15th, 2007. Licenses, we have a temporary food permit request from Frank Frizzoco, Dr. Frankenswine. Variances needed for the menu. The event is a turkey tasting at Windmill Liquors, November 24th, with a rain date of December 1st. The food would be pulled pork sandwiches, beans, chicken wings, all to be pre-cooked, except for the chicken wings. And And general sanitation, hand washing, and toilet facilities are available on site. Gloves and tongs will be used to prevent bare-hand contact. Paper goods and single-use articles to be used. Food served to order, not displayed. Cold storage will be refrigeration and coolers with ice.
You called this a turkey tasting?
The name of the event is turkey tasting.
I didn't hear any turkey.
There
on
is
the
no
menu.
turkey, but that's the
It's
name.
a
How
thank-
can,
it's
how
a
are we
Thanksgiving
expecting,
event.
not to get silly or anything, but how can we approve a turkey tasting if there's no turkey to be tasted?
Oh, I'm not going to say it.
I'm sorry, it's been a long day.
No.
Mr. Chairman, I
Maybe it's
move
turkey that's
that
doing it.
for the turkey tasting on November the 24th, we approve the variances as requested.
Second, and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
That
Wish
was
he
the
cha- I
variance
mean-
and the permit?
I don't
The
like the,
variance, I'm sorry, the variance and the permit, I
All
just,
right, leave it
it's
there.
been a long day.
yeah. Let's move on.
Community of Jesus, Christy Haig, variance is needed to the menu. The event is the Advent Festival, November 30th and December 1st from 1 to 3 p.m. and December 2nd from 12:30 to 2:30. Food would be tea sandwiches, hors d'oeuvres consisting of cucumber, chicken salad, ham, chutney, invitation crab, and various desserts. Food will be prepared in a licensed kitchen at the Paraclete House and transported to the unlicensed kitchens at the Friary and the Bethany House for cooking and/or holding, and will be served from these kitchens. All items will be covered for transportation between kitchens. All china to be used for service will be cleaned and sanitized using high-temperature dish machines or sanitized with chlorine sanitizer after being washed and rinsed by hand. Hand washing and toilet facilities are available on site. Food will be served to order, not displayed.
Any problem with it, Bob?
No.
Go ahead, a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
500.
I have a question, Bob.
Mhm.
Their kitchen now is a fully licensed kitchen, if I
They have
recall.
a couple of licensed kitchens. yeah.
And the reason this is coming was because of the types of food and the fact that it's going from point A to point B.
Right, and I believe
Okay.
the Brothers Residence is not a
Yeah,
licensed kitchen.
okay.
So
I just
some
wanna
food
get-
will be held there.
clarity, okay.
Tobacco permit, Orleans Getty. There's a new owner, Jose Francisco Hinsey. They've applied for a tobacco sales permit. We've reviewed.
Transfer, not a new one?
This is a new one, new application.
Because it's a new owner.
It's a new owner.
But they had,
so-
the previous owner had a
correct.
tobacco license.
Correct.
Let me answer the question. Any questions, any problems with it?
Questions, if the license is tracked with the owner, and the owner no longer has a facility in which to sell the products, does he therefore relinquish his license?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the only question I had, then I have no other questions.
With the new owner, are they briefed on the requirements?
Yes.
They are, okay.
They've gone, we've done the inspection, made sure they have all the forms, all the postings, et cetera. I
Okay.
want to say with this facility, they were selling without a license. They did not, on the transfer of ownership, apply for a license. We went there because we saw a display that coffee was for sale. They have constructed a food area, retail food area, which is now closed. They'll be going forward, putting together an application packet to meet the requirements and come before the Board of Health. So there was a transfer of property. We weren't notified. They set up some retail food items, and we're selling tobacco. We went in.
And it's very
we
important to
closed
go
down.
over those regulations.
Right. We closed down both sales upon our arrival. Tobacco, they've applied for, they meet the criteria for that. The food service, they have some work to do.
Where is this Getty?
Getty on Route 6A, you know, a hole-in-one, it's next to the hole-in-one,
Yeah, oh,
across from the
sure.
Right
bank.
across from Cape Cod 5?
Right, yep, okay.
It was a transfer of property, I mean, does that have to go through a septic system inspection and all that, too?
I believe it's a
Or is it
transfer of the
o-
business owner.
ownership?
Right. I will check into
Well, the
that.
owner still owns the land.
That's a good point, though, Gus. I'll check
Because
into that.
there has been some problems there.
They did put a new system in there about 7 years ago now.
It seems like yesterday.
Any other comments, questions, discussion? Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve the application for a tobacco sales license.
Jose.
Second that, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
500. Thank you. Anything else, Bob?
Yes, fees. After the Board of Health public hearing on fees, I was preparing the legal advertisement to be published in the newspaper. As I was gathering information regarding the fees, I could not find the legal notice for the hearing in the October 26 Cape Codder newspaper. After discussing the matter with the staff of the newspaper, it was discovered that they did not publish the notice as requested. They did publish the October 19th legal ad. They did not publish the October 26th.
So we,
Do we have to do it again?
Does the town pay
After,
for
after,
the-
wait,
Keep going, Bob, because you spoke to town council.
I spoke to town council. He said the issue is regarding the clarification of the record, although we don't necessarily have to advertise a hearing twice. If we had to advertise it at all, we did announce that it was advertised twice. It was the intention to have it advertised twice, and we held the hearing with the belief that it was advertised twice. It's his recommendation that we re-advertise the hearing one more time and hold a second hearing. This would clarify the record for the board.
We'll get
he
Robert
said we
chair
have to
it
do
again.
this all over again, and we had nobody come the last time?
Ah, but this time they may come.
I did ask the question if we could do a shorter hearing.
Like 15 minutes as opposed to half an hour.
Well, maybe in view of the fact that
Listen,
nobody did
yeah.
come, we should just.
I
just set aside 15
think
minutes.
anything we do should be transparent and open and
I agree.
fair
Well,
and
that is.
reasonable. And,
So it's a half an hour.
and it's gonna cost us some more money to do it, and do it during public comment period.
Yes, I agree with you.
And anybody that wants to come, we'll give them the tape.
Why
the
should it
first-
cost any money, more money? I think that we should ask if Cape Cod, if Cape Cod did not, was the Cape Cod Times or the Cape Cod?
Well, certainly we would not pay for the advertisement that did not go in, so.
No, but what about, they should then give us
No,
a
make
free
it as two
opportunity to
free
advertise
ones.
a hearing,
Absolutely.
Bob.
I'll go
They
talk to them.
They should not,
Yeah.
we should not pay for the advertisement of a hearing, because it's, they dropped the ball on that one. We'll give the time to the hearing, but they should advertise it at their expense. Would you all agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good try.
Okay, the hearing does not come from my budget. I'll talk to John Kelly about that.
He'll be
It's his-
pleased.
It's his budget.
He'll
Oh,
be a
yeah.
saint.
He'll be proud of us.
Mr. Chairman.
Oh, he's gonna
Have
say
it-
something important.
Having stated that we intended to advertise twice before the public hearing, that we had advertised twice prior to the public hearing, and having only advertised once, do we need to start the whole process over again, or do we need to advertise just one more time? And then we have satisfied the requirement for advertising
He had said to
twice?
advertise one more time,
And hold another public hearing too?
hold another public hearing.
We're going entirely with what.
That's what we're
town council
advertising, is the
told us.
public hearing.
Absolutely.
You know, just as Gussie said, we've got to do it properly. We'd hate, these things could come back and bite us, so we'll do it again. When do we have that public hearing?
Well, I'll try to arrange it for December 1st.
December 1st is not the date, is it?
First meeting in December. I think it's December 5th or 6th.
Something like that.
It's the
December
6th.
1st, I think it's the Sunday.
It's the 6th.
That is St. Nicholas Day. It'd be a very good day for that. You get presents or you can get coal, right?
Okay.
Okay, so what time will that be on the 6th?
Well, I will schedule it at 2.
At 2 o'clock.
Mhm.
And we just start the rest of it,
And
2:15?
we'll just continue from there. We'll have public press following that, and then we'll start our hearings.
I'll make a note of that. Make a note of it then. Just come armed for public hearing.
Daniels Construction and Demolition Facility, in response to the complaint brought before the Board of Health at its meeting of November 1st, 2007, and a second complaint filed on November 14th, 2007 by a separate individual, the Health Department conducted a site visit to the Daniels Recycling Facility on November 14th. At the time of the inspection, the exterior of the site was clean and organized, and there was no windblown debris on the site, nor did the Health Department observe any rats or rodents on the site. Currently, DRCI, Daniels Recycling Company, does not have an active baiting or trapping program, and the Daniels, being Paul and Steve, stated that they have never seen rats on the site. After making our observations and discussing the complaint with the Daniels, the Health Department did recommend that a licensed pest control operator should evaluate the site and determine if there is an infestation of rats. That is what the board had asked me to do. Aside from the issues raised in the complaints, the Health Department did observe other issues at the site which did not meet the site assignment approval of the Board of Health. These issues included open doors at the facility, stockpiling of construction demolition material for batch processing, and issues with the offloading of material. A letter will be sent to Daniels Recycling outlining the deficiencies and requesting a follow-up. Daniel C&D 2. The Health Department was copied on a letter to the Board of Selectmen from the Cape Cod Commission regarding the proposed modification to the facility. It is the Commission's understanding that DRCI is preparing to come to the Commission's Regulatory Committee in November or December of 2007 to seek a modification to their DRI exemption. The Commission staff is encouraging the Board of Selectmen, Board of Health, and the Site Plan Review Committee to provide the staff with written comments regarding the proposed project and its anticipated impacts on the community. So they're asking the town for comments. They asked the Board of Health in their letter, are encouraging the Board of Health to comment. I do know that Site Plan Review has asked Daniels to come in to give a presentation of what they are doing there. They'll be coming in to our next Site Plan Review meeting. That could either be the 21st, or it could be postponed because of the holiday if we don't have a quorum. I don't know what the Board of Health wants to do. If the board wants to make comments, the board wants to have a presentation so we have a better understanding of what is going on before we make comments. I'll pass out the letter from the Cape Cod Commission so the board can read their letter, but I've summarized it pretty well. They're trying to get the town's comments so they can involve that in their decision on the facility.
Well, it's the two-edged sword. I think for the first time, the quote, new Cape Cod Commission under the new leadership is trying to reach out and get more input from the community, so that's a good thing. I mean, if they continue that in all their aspects of their interface with communities, the better. So that's the good thing. The bad thing is we were sort of holding off, waiting for our turn in this process, and this sort of speeds things up. So my question to you, Bob, is I take our role in saying yea or nay of this eventually quite seriously. So how deep do we get involved? Do we, I mean, because I know what it was like last time. I mean, how deep do we get involved in this? Should we just hear a presentation and make some areas of concern, even though they aren't fully explained and defined? Or are we really intended to go into them in great depth, or?
Well, I don't think.
Because we got a tight window on here.
The Board of Health has a unique situation that we have a formal approval process we have to go through with the site assignment. I don't think that we would get into that level of detail. In fact, we're not going to. They'll be going to the commission before they file with us. The commission is interested. If we have any comments, they would like to hear those. I think it's hard for us to have comments. All we've seen is the environmental notification report.
Yeah.
Outlining what they're doing. The board could make comments stating that the, Board of Health is aware that the proposal is going on, outline what the proposal is to the best of our knowledge. And, I think the issues before the Board of Health are going to be traffic, noise, dust, and possibly vermin control.
And
the
air
quality. The board could outline that, or the board could get more specific, expressing their concerns in it, but they would have to understand their concerns first.
Yeah, I think if you look back at all the 47 conditions, and how you before, you can categorize them, air quality, noise, pollution, vermin, traffic, and just categorize those and say those were our concerns before, and those were the categories of conditions we put upon it, and those will continue to be our concerns. Probably the one of most concern will be because of increased traffic, public safety, and that's the one area where there may be more impact. But other than that, I don't. This is sticking your arm into a grinder, and I would rather keep it as general as possible. No, seriously, it's before we get into the details of it. That's just my feeling.
So if I understand this correctly, we're deciding whether or not to ask for a presentation so that we can make comments to the commission, so that we may
what
or
they
may
should look
not
at.
hold public hearings. If this becomes a DRI, are we still involved in terms of public hearings?
After the DRI is complete.
I,
I agree with Mrs. McCusick. I mean, I think we can note that there are issues that are going to rise. I was on the site for the notification site visit. They really are pretty constrained right now. It seems to me that if they have a larger building and are able to modify their operational plan, that some of the concerns that exist on the site would much more easily be addressed. There are other issues I have no idea how they're going to address, traffic and public safety. I think we can offer general comments on topics and you know, where we think we're gonna need more information and where we see opportunities for improved operations on the site. But I think we need to submit those comments with the clear statement that we have not seen a full application, we have not been given a full presentation as to what changes are going to occur on the site in finite detail, and that we haven't seen any presentation for mitigating traffic issues.
We certainly have not had any hearings.
I think the important question is, when something new happens, do all those previous conditions go away? Do they all stay in place? All the conditions we have on them now, do they stay in place with anything new that happens? Because if all those conditions stay in place, I think you can, and that they really address a lot of the stuff we talked about. We're just talking about, should they do a selective DRI segment, or do they do a great big huge one again?
I would think for the Board of Health, they're gonna hold a hearing under 310 CMR 16, which is the site assignment regulations. In that, the board is going to have to hear all the material over again, because you'll be making a decision to modify that site assignment. I would think that some conditions will remain, some may be eliminated by the new proposal, and there may be some new conditions. So I think the board will be making a completely new decision
Okay.
whether to approve or not approve the revised site assignment application.
Well, for the immediacy, and I'm just trying this out as a sort of trial balloon, should we just send the old regulations that we already have to the commission, say this is what was approved for the current situation? Clearly, we, as Sims and Gussie both just said, we've not had opportunity to get a full understanding of what the future holds. The concerns that were raised before continue, but this is how far we've taken it so far, and that was in the past. Is that about as far as we should take it right now?
Yeah, I say, you know, our previous concerns are our concerns today. This is what we did.
Yep.
We think one of the things that has to be looked at more closely is traffic and public safety. But that's not the only thing.
Is that a letter that Bob could write for us, or do we
If
have to?
you want, I could draft a letter and present it to the board, our meeting in December.
This time, when do they want this?
Yesterday.
They'll be coming in December or November or December to the commission.
Well, November, we're not meeting again, before, within this month, so.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, sure.
If you'd be comfortable with it, I'd be perfectly happy if Bob would like to draft a letter, and if you'd like to approve it individually, I would be comfortable with that, given the general parameters we've discussed at the table today.
Okay,
So would
wonderful.
I.
Yeah, let's do
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So
Good.
you're gonna help Bob, and then will the rest of us see it, and we'll go?
No, Dylan, we gave it to you.
To you.
Missed it.
Then I get it, and I sign it, and I'll
That's-
send it
That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
before the next meeting.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
I mean,
I
that's,
will draft
We
it, you'll
trust you.
read it and sign it.
yeah. Okay. As long as you've all had a chance to look at it, at least, then you can,
We trust Bob and you.
okay, answer.
We're team players.
Well, I mean, I think we
I think
seem
we
to have
are,
a general
yeah.
consensus on the parameters that we'd like to comment on, and, I mean, as we're speaking in generalities, how you phrase those generalities is, I'm not sure as significant in this circumstance as it might be later in the process.
And as long as we also state the limitations of where we've been in the current process of this renovation.
I think the fresher we keep our minds until we have to do it, the better. instead of doing it halfway first.
Okay, so you'll start with the letter, Bob, call me over.
I'll write a letter. It sounds to me that the letter will be written outlining what the board's scope of concerns are.
Okay.
I can put those down. I would probably recommend we put in there that the Board of Health does not have the expertise to evaluate traffic remediation plans, traffic studies. That would be an area that would need careful review. The issues regarding noise, odor will have to be addressed by the proponent. The Board of Health has seen nothing towards that effect to date, but those would also be concerns of the Board of Health. That way they have an outline of what our concerns are. I don't know if the board is looking to make a recommendation that it be taken as a major modification or not by the Cape Cod Commission. Major modification would be a full review, or do you want to restrict, or minor modification would be just a regulatory committee looking at it? Or does the board just want to express its concerns and let the commission decide whether they would make it a major modification or not?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to presume to interpret their
Yeah, tell them what to
their
do with them.
regulations, and from the conversations that have gone by in the Board of Selectmen's meetings that I've either attended or seen on TV, it occurs to me that the Board of Selectmen would like an opportunity to discuss some of the aspects of the application with the applicant. And they don't seem to be, the Board of Selectmen don't seem to be predisposed to render an opinion on major or minor until they're a little further into the discussions with the applicant. And I think their feeling is that if they can arrive at a reasonable agreement that answers some of these questions and gives adequate protection to the community, without it becoming a Cape Cod Commission issue,
Full-blown
then they'd be just as happy to manage it that way.
Mhm.
So I don't think I'd be comfortable manipulating the process.
I think the one piece of information I want more data on, that the Cape Cod Commission can make happen, is the traffic studies. That's the one thing I do, and I know there's data available from the recent traffic studies that were done up at Skaket Corner, and from the traffic studies that were done there at the corner of Finley Road, and I think they are the one organization that has the power to compile what already exists, integrate it, find out where the missing links are, and require new stuff to come. That's going to be very beneficial for us.
And the
If they-
neighbors seem to
if
have
they
a
will
concern about
organize
that.
the existing, figure out where the loopholes are, and require that those studies be done. That would be a huge benefit for all of us.
And I think when an application is before us, we can ask for technical assistance. That's one of the
Yeah.
advantages of the new friendlier Cape Cod Commission. At least that's my understanding from the planning department staff, that towns and town departments can
Mhm.
ask for selective technical advice.
Okay, well, proceed that way then, Bob. You will draft a letter with some help from Sims. I'll come by and we'll talk about it in a rough draft, and I'll sign the final letter and we'll just go. I think we kind of agree more or less. And it's still pretty amorphous, so even if we don't entirely agree, it doesn't much matter, this thing.
It's after you do the handout.
What handout? Oh, this other handout, your
Yes.
handout, yes. That's my other homework.
Yeah, it's your other homework.
It's all right, Christmas doesn't come till February this year. Keep going. Bob?
Cancer incidents in Massachusetts. The Health Department has receipt of the 2000 to 2004 cancer incidents in Massachusetts City and Town Supplement. This report lists the observed and expected case counts for Orleans for the years 2000 through 2004. The report shows that there were elevated numbers of cases in bladder or urinary cancer, breast, leukemia, lung, and prostate cancer. A copy of the report is on file in the Health Department's office.
Is it a
So,
significant
anyone wants-
increase?
Those that I listed were statistically significant.
And by age too. I've seen the previous reports, they're usually broken down by age, so it is real. The first time I heard this, I assumed that because we're an old population, what else can we expect? But the reality is that this is age adjusted.
Was it age? Oh, I didn't realize it was age adjusted. Okay, well,
That's my health agent's report.
That's the health agent's report. There's some correspondence. We have letter from Stearns and Wheeler addressed to Mark Budnick with some evaluations. Two letters, actually, the other to David Ellis. And we have the usual wastewater management steering committee beautifully reported activities, beautiful report of beautiful activities, and a letter from Jay Burgess, to Jay Burgess from the DEP. Any discussion or comments about any of these three that are circulated for our interest? Is there any other business?
I move we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It is approved. The homework then is that we